If you love ombre nails, these are going to be the manis for you. What's up, nail crew? It's Nicole, your fellow nail obsessed DIYer. Today we are all about the ombre. I'm going to show you those two gorgeous manis and how you do them. And I'm going to give you a bunch of tips and tricks of things not to do, things that I messed up on so you don't have to. On my left hand, I'm doing more of a traditional ombre. I'm doing the ombre at the tip of the nail. I want to do this gorgeous foil mani that has these black foils in it. Both of these nails were for the Red Hot Chili Peppers concert I went to the other week. So I wanted something to be like feeling like really rock, but also a bit of Halloween because it is, September, October, and I'm all about the Halloween manis. If you know me, you know that I love Halloween. Whenever you're working with foils or flakes or glitters, you want to make sure that you lay your nail flat into the dip. That's going to allow the best coverage of the flakes or foils or glitters so that they're not falling off if you try to pour them over your nail. When you're working with a dip that has a really pigmented base like the one I'm using here, do not do what I did. Do not lay like your entire finger into the dip. I don't know why I kept laying my entire finger into the dip and getting all of that orangish, reddish color all over my skin. And it didn't end up staining. I brushed some of it off and then wiped it with alcohol later in the mani. And then once I washed my hands, it was gone. But still, there was no need for me to be laying my entire finger into the dip. I don't know why I kept doing it. So after that layer fully dried, I brushed off the excess powder really, really well. And then it went in with my black. The red is called Watergate and the black is called a little stitious. Both are from OG dip powder. And I decided to go with a really small, it's actually not a nail brush, it's an eyeshadow brush. It's the Wet n Wild brand. I use these really small eyeshadow brushes for when I want to get a really precise ombre that I'm doing a scrub method with. So I scrubbed the black in and thought, okay, I will scrub the black in for the first layer and then dip over top again for the second layer and then do the scrubbing again. So if I had to redo this, well, when I redo this, because I'm going to do another mani like this with using black, I know, I love using black. I love wearing black nails. I would dip my two first layers and then scrub the black in. So if you were wanting to do a mani like this, dip your two reds in or whatever color you're using and then scrub the black in after you're done dipping your colors. Normally when you're doing an ombre, you would do what I did here. You'd dip the color, you'd scrub it in, and then ombre, and then apply your next layer and ombre it again. But because black is so pigmented, I could have just gotten away with doing two dips of the red and then scrubbing in the black at the very end. Because what happened then was my red got darker than what it actually is. Even though I was trying really, really hard not to contaminate the red with the black, it still ended up happening. You could see me with the base brush just trying to get the red covered on the second layer and then going up into the black. But even doing all that, the red still got tinted a little bit darker than what I would have liked. So that was kind of frustrating to me. I just wasn't thinking about how pigmented black is, which obviously I should have known that. So next time I'm definitely going to do two layers of my base color and then scrub the black in, and that would have worked really well. These little ombre brushes, I'll make sure I link them in the description. They are so great when you want a really precise ombre. I normally use the big fluffy ombre brushes when I'm doing a combination of tap and scrub, but when I'm just doing scrub like this, I only use these small ombre brushes. And when you're doing an ombre with a really dark color, I don't always do the tap method first. In this one, I knew I could get away with just scrubbing because it's so pigmented. And not only that, it has little black foils in, so I felt like I could just really easily scrub and the outcome would be great. And it is, you see how much this black is popping and how easily it just ombre on my nails. But then when I'm doing the second layer, you see how much darker the red got than the first layer because I decided to do that ombre underneath. And I kept having to wipe my brush on a paper towel I had there. So make sure you do that. If you're using a dark color like black or like a really dark navy blue, really dark green, make sure that you wipe your brush off a lot on either a lint-free wipe or a clean paper towel because your brush is going to get stained. And if you don't wipe it off, your next dip is going to be stained with that dark color. Then when I was using my clear to pour over and as my last layer, I also made sure that I didn't tap the clear into the jar, which it wasted a little bit of clear, but honestly at this point I know how messy I am. Clear dip powder get wasted even though it's frustrating. I knew if I didn't do it, I was going to make a huge mess. If my voice sounds a little bit funny, I'm sorry. I have been sick for like 2 weeks and just can't seem to knock this cold out. I even went to the doctors and like I got tested for a bunch of things. Nope, don't have any of it. Just like a regular cold that I just can't get rid of. So that's why I sound funny. And on top of that, I am officially in my new nail room. I'm still getting it organized. I have waited 2 years to have a nail room. It's just this little room in our house now, in our basement that we fixed up so that I can do my nails. But I might sound a little funny for a while because there's not much in it. I didn't get everything moved and the sound is bouncing a little in here. So just bear with me while I try to figure out like how everything should sound and where I get all my stuff set up. And I will make sure I do some tours and give you guys pictures and like update you on how that's going. So now let's jump into my right hand mani. And this one is going to be super fun. I wanted to do a dark aura mani. So if you've seen the aura manis, they're typically like with brighter colors. It's a color on the outside and then it's an ombre on the inside. I did a video on it a couple months ago with pink and orange for the summer, but now I wanted to look very Stranger Things, Halloween, like dark and moody and I don't know. I use this red that has flakes in it, and this way it would kind of look like fiery. So I really loved how that looked. And then I'm gonna ombre the black just in the middle. And let me tell you, I make a lot of mistakes. When I first did this mani, I was looking at it and I'm thinking, great, like I did another disease nail look. If you saw my video from, I think it was the spring, I believe, where I tried to do jawbreaker nail art, it ended up looking like disease nails. So I was thinking, oh my gosh, like what did I just do? Did I do this again? But since I made some mistakes on my first hand, I got smarter on my second hand, I got smarter on my right hand, and did my 2 dips of the color first before I decided to do any scrubbing in. Since I knew the black is really pigmented and it worked to scrub in so well, I made sure I did both layers of the red before I went and applied the black on for the ombre. And I scrubbed as well for this. This red's called Family Don't End in Blood Boy. It's from a supernatural inspired collection. I'll be honest, I've never watched the show because it looked too scary to me. I don't really do scary. I know, even though I love Halloween, I do not do anything scary. Something that I tried with this mani, and I wasn't sure how it was going to work. Let me tell you, like the thumb looked a hot mess, okay? I tried pouring clear dip powder over to keep the red color like as poppin' red as it could be before I tried to scrub the black. And I tried to scrub the black around the sides of my nail because that was the initial idea I had, that it would look like the red was like fiery and popping through. But the black was getting all over my skin, all over my cuticles, and it just ended up looking a mess. So by the time I got to my pointer finger, I decided to switch it up and scrub the black on the center. I felt like I could control the black a lot better being on the center scrubbing it. So I just went with that for the rest of the nails and just kind of like pretended like my thumb didn't exist. And if you know me, you know that I'll just go with manis, like no matter how they turn out, I just wear them. I've worn this one for almost a week now and I'm just like rocking it and letting it go because you know what? I do my own nails. Like, these are DIY nails. We're not perfect. We're not professional. So if it doesn't look exactly how we turn out to be, okay, next one we'll try again. And if you're still struggling with overall your dip manis, make sure you check out the link in the description and the first link in my pinned comment. It's going to have a link to my Dip Nails 101. It is the ultimate guide to dipping your nails at home from prep to application to removal. I have everything you could possibly need in over 45 pages with pictures, tons of tips and tricks so that if you're struggling and it's too hard for you to watch like 50 videos, you can print out the guide and refer to it over and over. So now I'm back to this gorgeous mani and I kept on scrubbing in the center and I was using the same brush that I used for my left hand. And then I got this really, really tiny little, it's another eyeshadow brush. And I tried just like making the center darker. But to be honest, by the time I was on my left hand, it was late, I was tired. So I kind of just went with it, but I ended up really loving it and it didn't look diseased. It ended up just looking like this really cool, fiery Halloween, Stranger Things, whatever, you know, kind of vibe I was going for. Great for a rock concert. Whenever you're doing dark colors, like I did this on both hands, make sure that you brush off really well in between each color, in between each layer, and make sure you're wiping your brush off on a lint-free wipe or a paper towel as much as you possibly can, like all the time. And you're also gonna wanna wipe off your activator brush in between each nail, because if you don't do that, your activator brush as well is going to get contaminated with a darker color and then transfer that to your next mani. And we definitely don't want that. After we work so hard on our nails, we don't want to transfer and contaminate another mani to be a darker color than it actually is. So make sure that you're really careful when you're using darker colors. After I activate, I always make sure I let my nails dry really well until they make a tapping noise and I know that they are ready to puff and shape, which I did off camera. Then I top coated. That's one of my favorite parts. Then you get to see the gorgeous colors popping through and how your mani turned out. And if you're ready for more ombres, make sure you check out this next video where I teach you how to do another one. Thanks so much for joining me today, nail crew.